Welcome to Chamber Talks, the podcast where we dive into all things chamber related, from upcoming events and workforce initiatives to education, policy, and community development. We're here to keep you informed and inspired. I'm Carly Swain Walker, Senior Vice President of Workforce and Community Development at your Fredericksburg Regional Chamber of Commerce. And today, we're shining a spotlight on the incredible educators in our region as we lead up to our first annual Teacher Appreciation Brunch, a heartfelt event designed to honor and recognize the life-changing work of our local teachers. This brunch is more than just a meal. It's a moment to say thank you, build connections between schools and the business community, and celebrate those shaping the future one student at a time. Joining us today for the conversation are two leaders who bring powerful perspectives on education from both K through 12 and higher ed. Dr. Marci Catlett is the Superintendent of Fredericksburg City Public Schools, where she's known for her student-first leadership, collaborative spirit, and longstanding commitment to equity in education. Dr. Pete Kelly serves as the Dean of the College of Education at the University of Mary Washington. His work focuses on preparing the next generation of teachers and ensuring they are equipped to meet the evolving needs of today's classrooms. We'll explore why celebrating teachers matter, how we can better support our educators year-round, and what gives these two leaders hope about the future of leaning in and learning in our region. But first, let's loosen things up a little bit with a few fun icebreakers. All right. So, Dr. Kelly, you're at the University of Mary Washington. How long have you been there?
I am just finishing my 8th year at the University of Mary Washington. Yeah, it's been 8 good years.
Awesome. Have you always been in higher education?
I started my career as a teacher many years ago. I taught history and social studies for a number of years.
Okay.
I gravitated toward the kid in the back row who struggled, and as a result of that, I went back and got my master's working with kids with special needs. And then for the last 20 years or so, I've been in higher education, 2023.
Okay. So if you weren't working in education and you weren't a previous teacher and working in higher ed, what do you think you'd be doing?
Well, I've had a food truck on my Christmas list every year for the last 10 years. I put myself through school by working in restaurants, through high school, through my bachelor's and my master's. And I love cooking. Cooking is one of my favorite things to do. So when I have a minute, that's what I like to do.
Okay. What kind of food truck do you think you would have?
You know, my wife always asks me, what kind of food truck would I have? And I've had to learn to bake pie because that's one of her favorite foods.
Okay.
I could make a pretty good scone. Her nickname as a child was Noodle Face, so I have to cook pasta about 18 different ways. The menu to be determined.
There's a whole nother story there about the noodle face, but so scones and pasta and pies is what you said?
And pies, yeah.
This is an interesting combo.
Well,
yeah, you know.
It may vary from day to day. We'll see.
Yeah, the one-stop shop food truck.
It's good to dream.
Well, in the same food arena, Dr. Catlett, what's your go-to comfort meal after a long day's work?
Okay, well, that's interesting. A baked potato.
Okay.
And a baked potato, really.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Do you dress it with things?
Well, basic cheese and a little butter. That's
okay.
it.
All right.
Being a non-cook, I'm easy in terms of foods. So very basic. And I'll just be appreciative for any meal I get.
Okay.
Really.
All
Yes.
right. Well, today we're going to be talking about the Teacher Appreciation Brunch and our educators and, getting them prepared to be in the classroom and then managing them in the classroom, both folds of that. What teacher in you all's life made a significant impact? I mean, many teachers made an impact on me, but I would love to hear one example in your lives of a teacher that made an impact.
I'll start.
Yeah.
And just like you said, there have been many
Yes.
that have. But more recently, I would have to say Gaya Dagbalola. She was just honored with the exhibit down at the FAM Museum.
Right.
And she was my 8th grade science teacher. And just powerful in terms of her love for learning and inspiring and pouring into through truly wraparound services in terms of building the whole child even back in the 70s. Dynamic, and I'll always be grateful for the way she's inspired me to be who I am, not only in the classroom, but the community work that her family did to help expand our horizon as young people.
Love that. For those of you listening that don't know, Marci is a hometown girl.
Yes.
She is a product of Fredericksburg City Schools, where she's now the superintendent. So she always has a unique perspective and a cool story to tell. Dr. Kelly, same question. What teacher, obviously there's many, made a huge impact on your life?
Well, first, I just want to say I really appreciate the question because the opportunity to talk about those teachers is not something we get the chance to do as often as we should. I had a couple of teachers make a difference for me in high school. I grew up in a family that struggled in a lot of different ways. We had a lot of pretty serious risk factors in our family. There was alcoholism, there was serious mental illness, there was abuse. And I was starting to lose my way a little bit in high school, and I was making some bad choices. I was getting involved with some other students and friends who were headed down the wrong path. And I had a couple of teachers who saw potential in me and were able to let me know, right? They gave me that feedback in ways that my mom and dad were not in a position to do.
Right.
They were doing the best job they could, given the circumstances they had. But Mr. Wright was a history teacher, and he was also a coach. And I happened to have a little bit of athletic ability, so he had me on the team. He helped me find my way. And Mr. Stofsky taught a humanities class, and it was a really interesting class. It was sort of interdisciplinary. It involved history, religion, philosophy, art. Wow. And I'll always be very, very grateful to both of them. I'm not sure where I'd be if it wasn't for them. They made a difference for me.
That's powerful. Made a pivotal in your early K through 12 experience.
They certainly did. I went on to be, in my senior year, I had Mr. Wright for American history my junior year, and then I was his teacher's aide my senior year, and so I think that put me on the path.
That's when you got the bug.
Yeah, I think it put me on the path.
So what sport did you play?
Football.
Football.
I played football, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, because that gives us an insight into the teachers that were important to you and pivotal to your journey, and probably made an impact on why you're sitting here today, and in the roles that you're in. So that's just a example of how important teachers are in our lives. So we are talking about a teacher appreciation brunch that's coming up on June 18th. We will be celebrating and thanking and giving recognition to our teachers representing Planning District 16, which is Stafford, Spotsylvania, King George, Caroline, and Fredericksburg City, as well as our higher ed institutions, Germanna and UMW. So why do you believe it's important to create dedicated spaces like the Teacher Appreciation Brunch to celebrate and recognize our educators?
It's phenomenal to do that, to be able to publicly and formally celebrate the great work that our educators do every day. And I'm just so pleased that the Chamber has taken the leap to initiate this this celebration, because I would feel it's long overdue. It happens for other professionals, and teachers certainly deserve to be recognized in whatever ways we can in terms of their dedication and commitment.
Absolutely.
You know, Carly, I think you could ask anybody that question that you started with Dr. Catlett and I, and who was that one teacher that made a difference? And everybody's got an answer to that question. Everybody does, and it's always a very specific answer. And it's because teachers really do make a positive difference. not just in the life of a child, but also in a classroom, in a school, and in a community. A good teacher can really make a difference, and we lose sight of that sometimes, and it's unfortunate that we do. So I'm deeply grateful that the Chamber sees this, values that, and is going to give us a chance to recognize and celebrate and honor the work that good teachers do. I really look forward to doing that. There's so much focus on workforce development in the states and across the country, really. And I think we forget oftentimes that a good teacher is the foundation of the workforce development. That's where it all starts, and we have to invest in the foundation.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of investing in the foundation, the University of Mary Washington School of Education is our title sponsor for this event, and we're extremely grateful. And that is leading by example. And so we very much appreciate that, Dr. Kelly and the team over there. So what does it mean to you personally and professionally to support teacher recognition? Like, because you both professionally work in the field, but also personally you've shared stories. So what does that mean to you?
Well, professionally, it just broadens our ability to recognize teachers and to give them their due in terms of what they do to transform lives. So it can be added to our toolkit, to our number of ways we try to think about every day, showing appreciation. And personally, because I consider myself a natural-born teacher, a teacher at heart, I know the sacrifices firsthand. That this is my 44th year in education, and I feel like my first day as a sixth grade teacher back in 1981 prepared me for this work I'm doing now, where I was responsible for, 25 students, 4 different periods, and anything could happen that I needed to make decisions about. Now I'm responsible for 3,600, and anything could happen. But the main thing is that I'm there to educate and transform their lives so that they can be the best people that they can be. So, but it's lots of sacrifices that go along with that. Late nights, 24/7 in your mind of how you can make things better all the time. What I love about education is you can get a fresh start every new year to build on what you didn't do well or to continue what you did well. So there's, it's right next to preaching to me in terms of a calling. And so I'm so glad to be able to celebrate teachers in any way possible.
Well, I do believe you were called, my dear, for sure. Dr. Kelly.
Professionally, I think I could start with that. It makes my job easier. That's my hope and my dream, that it's going to make our jobs easier as we move down the line, because it's increasingly difficult to attract and retain young people to the teaching profession. And so anything we can do to shine a spotlight on the good work that teachers do and to elevate the profession. We really need to elevate the profession, and we need to do that in lots of different ways. And this is an important way that we can do it, so I'm grateful to the Chamber for giving us a chance to do it. We'll have 8 or 9 teacher awards.
Yeah.
And so that's going to make a significant difference in the lives of those teachers and their students. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and we really tried to be inclusive in the awards, but also just, more innovative. Like one of the awards is Innovative Classroom.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and we also are going to be given a Lifetime of Service Award as well. So, all in between. And new teachers, like first 5 years in the run, but also Lifetime of Service Awards. So we're really going to, go across the board and make sure that we're being very inclusive with these awards. Yeah, we're very excited about that. So Dr. Catlett, you just talked about like sacrifices, and then Dr. Kelly talked about retracting and retaining teachers. As a superintendent, what are some of the challenges educators face today that the broader community may not always see or know about?
Well, of course, in education, you have to always be prepared to change and keep up with society. And what comes along with that in terms of opportunities and challenges. The high-stake accountability systems that are usually politically driven can be overwhelming at times, but we do what we need to do to be responsive. Then, of course, we are faced with social media and technology at a level that we never thought we would be in terms of cell phones and how that's impacted how students engage and learn. Now, it's an important tool, but it's been abused, and we've had to pull back in terms of usage in the classrooms because teachers wanted to be able to teach and not police cell phones. And then, of course, violence in our communities that have a way of infiltrating into our schools. So we have to always now think with that lens on as well, and the safety issues that. And then the big one is recruiting and retaining teachers. And we've got such a mix dynamics now of teachers that were traditionally trained like we were, and then others that come into the profession, career switchers, provisionally licensed. So the market is different, and we just are so pleased for adults to want to be educators in whatever form they come to us as. Long-term subs that turn into teachers, instructional assistants that like it enough to then substitute teachers. So the doors are wide open, and it's so different than what it used to be when I started years ago. But we try to pivot and do what we can to meet the challenges all the time.
Definitely a pivoting season for sure. So you talked about politics and violence and cell phones and attracting and retaining teachers. But Dr. Kelly, you have students that are coming into the field. They seek the field through your Department of Education, or maybe not. So from your view in higher ed, how are we preparing the next generation of teachers to navigate today's educational landscape?
That's a really good question. And I think, from my perspective in the College of Education, it's really important that we work closely, hand in hand with our K-12 partners and our colleagues. And Dr. Catlett and I, we work together on a lot of different fronts. And my perspective on that is we have a symbiotic relationship with our K-12 schools. We can't train teachers.
Right.
We can't prepare them for this job without working in the schools. And so it's really important that we're invested in the success of our K-12 partners. And we do it in a number of different ways. We've got a number of school, university kinds of partnerships. The Academy for Technology and Innovation is one of those. And it's a model that's similar to a university hospital where we try to bring the walls down between the school and the College of Education. We share resources. We try to place students for experiences where they can learn and grow as teachers, but do it in ways that meet the needs of the school as well. We have faculty. My faculty, they engage in research. That's a part of what they do. Their primary focus of their work is teacher preparation. And so I've got a faculty member who spends 4 hours a week in the Academy for Technology and Innovation. She's doing job coaching. She's working with our students who are there, again, sharing resources across those two institutions. That's really important. My faculty come back from the schools more informed about what teaching looks like. Teaching and learning has changed significantly in the last 5 years. We could go on and on about that. The learning needs of students have changed significantly. So it's really important for my faculty, if they're going to stand up and teach other human beings how to teach, that they are connected to practice. And it's through those partnerships we stay connected to practice.
And we are overjoyed with the pipeline in terms of having UMW's students in our schools and the partnerships that we formulated. And when I hear the student staying and going to be a teacher with us, I know that the student is well prepared to teach in our school division. Right. They've been there. They know what our needs are. They know our students. They've become a part of the Fredericksburg family. And so I love UMW and what we've done together as partners in terms of helping advance our pre-K-12 programming.
Yeah, we've talked about recruiting as one challenge, and we work pretty closely together on that front. We've got a Call Me Mister program to help and retire, and it's a Pell Grant it's a Pell initiative from the state of from SHEV. To help us attract and retain certain kinds of teachers. And we got lots of resources to do that. That came out of the partnership work that we do with our K-12 colleagues. We've also got a Noyce grant, another $1.4 million grant to attract and retain STEM teachers and prepare them as well. The state's got a strong curriculum, Teachers for Tomorrow curriculum, where school divisions can focus energy on growing their own. Those are kids we want to be best friends with, right? Yeah. So we work really hard on that pipeline, trying to make connections with them and attracting them to the university campus. It's really just for this mutually beneficial sort of work that we have to do this.
Yeah. And of course, we love taking our students on campus in every form that we can.
Yeah,
we do.
Make space labs and just being on that campus sets a different type of fire inside of a student to own the campus as part of their learning environment really matters too. And you all always host us in such a great way.
We created a summer enrichment program on campus, and it's multidisciplinary. We've got faculty who are offering classes in science and in communications and artificial intelligence. But we created some classes for students who want to be teachers. And it's a week-long residential experience. Oh, wow. We've actually received strong support from the state because I think they see the value in that pipeline that we're trying to build. Yeah. And so we've been able to offer that experience. We can provide significant scholarships for students to do it. For some, we've offered to do that for free as well. So we get kids on our campus. It's such a beautiful campus.
It is.
It's a powerful recruiting experience as well.
Yeah.
And it's all about trying to help solve this teacher shortage.
Well, we've hit on the teacher shortage and the retracting and retaining. What role does the community support play in teacher retention and overall morale even?
I always say that the formula for student success is the partnership between the student, family, and the school. But then the icing on the cake is when you have community partners assisting you in those processes. So I did bring our brochure along in terms of our 300 partners throughout the city.
Good for you.
I've got to do a shout out to Sandy Gillenwater and her team because we didn't always have this. And it's just been in the last 5 years or so that we've developed partnerships to the level that we have. And of course, UMW, Germanna, the Chamber, of course, but faith-based organizations, the Civic Lions Club, businesses, restaurants. And what that does is it lets teachers know they're not in this process alone, that the community values you. When you go through the restaurants and see our little certificate that we give out, they know that that business connects to what it is that we're trying to do to educate students. So it's powerful. And I just am so pleased with Fredericksburg, the community, and our roundtables that the community comes out and understands better what we're trying to do, and they join us in the process.
Right.
Yes.
You've done such a fantastic job over the years, and I've been I really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of that process with those community roundtables, because you brought in this wide slice of the Fredericksburg community. And I think it's not just a healthy thing for the public schools, but I think it's also good for the community, because a healthy public school it does so far more than just prepare students for gainful employment when they graduate. It's we prepare kids in lots of different ways. So I think the work that you're doing there is very important, Marci.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's the team. It's definitely it takes a team effort, and we love that it's thematic. So that we might talk about budget one session. The new one coming up will be the brand new city schools, and it's going to be hosted in our New Walker Grant middle school out in Idlewild. So we know that a lot of community members will want to come out and get to see the new school. So, but teachers are the engine of it all, and without our teachers, none of this would matter. They are moving the process day in and day out. It's where the rubber hits the road.
Absolutely.
Yes, and we can't forget that. So it's all done to make our students stronger and who they want to be, and help teachers do that.
I just want to come back to the idea of retention as well, because I think one part of the shortage is the challenge of trying to attract teachers, but trying to keep them on the job and in the schools is also a big part of that challenge. And we've worked pretty closely with our K-12 colleagues on that front as well. We've had a Pathways to Success grant program. We've been very grateful to the Virginia Department of Education. They've funded our Pathways grant for about 10 years. And I think we've trained, and this is a program designed to help build capacity for mentorship in schools. And it's, so I think we've trained 250 teachers in multiple school divisions over the last 10 years. And those teachers go on to provide induction support for new teachers coming into buildings. But we've also got some skin in the game as well, too, because our students go out and do their student teaching. They benefit from having a trained mentor teacher that they can work alongside with. And so that's one way that we focus on trying to help address the retention issue. 3 years ago, I had a board advisors meeting where I engage in folks, our partners, HR, superintendents, and other community partners. And we were reporting out on what we were doing with Pathways. And I had some superintendents say, that's really great, Pete. We appreciate that. But we have new building leaders, right, who are unseasoned, and they need support as well. So for the last 3 years, we've engaged with new building leaders that have been nominated for this process, just to provide them some mentorship along the way as well. It's a good program.
Yeah, mentors are strong in
all
facets of our lives.
Exactly.
When you were all coming up as teachers, young teachers, did you have mentors that made that lasting impact?
Oh, definitely. And, as a middle school teacher, 6th grade, we had our teammates, because we worked in pods.
Okay.
So those teachers would embrace you and take you under their wings, but then we would be assigned a different person as a mentor to help with the logistical parts of the school and all. But I value, you have to, and like you said, in every facet of life, on speed dial. I have superintendent mentors that, I can call.
Yeah.
Because I've been in education a long time, the work as superintendent is different.
Yeah.
So I couldn't act like I knew what to do, because I didn't. So, but having, a mentor that's there on call, I consider Pete a mentor, because he links me to what higher ed needs, and partner with him in terms of, he supported me throughout my entire placement in this role. So I know I can call him when I need, and he'll be there for me in terms of, helping. So.
And she does call from time to time, and I always appreciate the call. Mentorship is important. I think you talked about the willingness to ask for help, right?
Yes.
Don't be too proud to ask for help, because you're faced with new challenges and different kinds of challenges, and having other people who've been on that path, right. Who understand those challenges is really important.
Yeah. I'd just like to speak to the retention piece
Yeah,
again.
absolutely.
Well, and what I've watched evolve is that teachers are marketable now in terms of the critical shortage.
Mm-hmm.
So where before we would hire and teachers would stay with us for longevity, long time. Now they can kind of pick and choose what is the best area that's suited for them. If they're not pleased with or want to branch out. So this turnover, I think really it's going to be a natural part of our processes anymore. I think early on with the generation changes, they said some adults would have 5 or 6 different careers over their lifetime. So it's a different workforce. But what I love, we call them boomerangs. It's teachers that started with us and they think, well, let me try. I'll go north for a bit more money or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they figure out, I'm coming on back home to Fredericksburg.
That's right.
And we certainly welcome them back, and are so pleased because they can bring back new ideas to us. And they have a different sense of connection with this really was the right place and suited for me as the teacher type.
Well, those listening, come boomerang on back to us.
Yes.
Come on back because we need you.
Yes.
We will take you. And if you want to be educated about it, go see UMW and they'll get you there.
Yes.
So we talked about mentorship and we talked about attracting and then keeping them. And then the third R is recognition, which is what we're getting ready to do at the Teacher Appreciation Brunch. Why is that third R so important? Why is that recognition piece just so important? And I think it plays into every single other piece of the puzzle.
Well, we're humans, and all humans need to feel that they're valued, they're seen, they're heard, and they are appreciated for what they give to society, and to do it on the stage in a public setting at the level that you all are planning for in this first go round is just and it's an incentive as well. It helps you when you're feeling like, I don't know that I can do this another day. The thought that there are people, your community values what you're doing matters.
Absolutely. And it's the business community too, which is super important, is to show these teachers and these educators that the business community is here to support you. And these 300 partners that you have on the brochure are here to support you and appreciate you and recognize you. Exactly. Yes.
It demonstrates, and it's a powerful demonstration, I think, that the Fredericksburg community values the work that goes on in the public schools. And that ripples through the community in lots of important ways. And it's going to make a difference. I think it will.
Me too.
I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. So tell us more about your department, Dr. Kelly. What does that look like? Say somebody's freshman at UMW and they decide, I think I want to be a teacher now. And so tell me what those steps would look like and what would they have available to them if they wanted to come through your department.
Well, that's a good question. I would be remiss if I didn't take a minute to talk a little bit about the building in which my department lives.
Okay, please do.
And that was when I came here 8 years ago. I had the opportunity to be a part of a building renovation project. Seekabeck Hall was the dining hall on campus for 70 years.
Oh, wow.
And so for 70 years, everyone who studied and got a degree at the University of Mary Washington ate their meals in Seekabeck Hall. And everybody has memories of Seekabeck Hall. And so this was this amazing building that we had the opportunity to engage in this renovation project. And we came in at the right time. We had an architect. We didn't have a contractor. We didn't have a plan. And so we got to sit down with our architects, and they conducted focus groups with students, with teachers, with faculty, with alumni, with staff, and we got to dream. What do we want our classroom spaces to look like? What do we want our collaboration spaces to look like? What do we want our maker space and our curriculum lab? And then over the course of several years, it took longer than it should have because there was a pandemic and other challenges along the way.
There's that, yes.
We've got this amazing building that doesn't just have great teaching and learning spaces, but they're teaching and learning spaces that are designed specifically for teacher preparation. And that makes a significant difference to my students as they're practicing to take on this difficult and important job. And it's a huge asset to me on an admissions event, on a Saturday on campus where we've got prospective students and their parents on campus to walk them into that building because it says teaching matters and it's valued here on this campus.
Show off,
and it really does make a difference. That helps me seal the deal on
Absolutely.
my kids and their commitment to come there. And more than that, it also... it changes the nature of the work that we do as faculty, right? Faculty and staff, because that same message is my assistant professors and my associate professors. They're getting that same message that the work that they do matters.
Right.
And so I think it really has changed the nature of our work.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of the big picture.
Okay.
I could get into the weeds if we wanted.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well,
So walk in the building. If you're interested in education at UMW,
It's an
walk in the
amazing
building
building.
and it'll sell you.
That's what I mean. It really, because I worked, of course, with the department when it was on top of Trinkle, upstairs. And
Yes.
many, many, many years. But to have that location, the presence of that speaks to how you value education at that level. And then they let us have our retreats there in the summer.
Fancy.
So we really get to use the building.
I need an invitation.
It's a building that people in the community have come to know about.
Yes.
And come to value, and we use it, right?
Yes.
And so we're grateful to be able to share it with our K-12 partners, right? And
We
you're
love
not the only
coming
ones.
over
We got a
there.
lot of folks who use that building.
Yes.
It's a great facility.
It really is.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Go see the building.
Seekebeck Hall.
And Dr. Kelly will sell you on the school at that point.
That's right.
Give me 5 minutes, we'll make you a teacher.
Well, what makes you both hopeful about the future of education? It overall, but also in our region.
Well, you really, that's what lives in the heart of teachers. Hope. You never give up hope in terms of what you've been called to do. So when I'm with our students, my two favorite days of a school year is the first day. We travel to every classroom and see the children and a new beginning, a fresh start, an opportunity to educate. And then the second day is graduation, that mission accomplished. We've done what we could at the best of our ability to get them on to the next journey, the next pathway in their lives. So filled with hope all the time. You couldn't do this work if you didn't have that sense of, I'm not giving up. I cannot give up on you. You matter too much to all of us. So
I like that. Filled with hope, that resiliency.
yes.
Just keep digging.
Yes.
We're gonna get there. We're
gonna
making a
get there.
difference. We're moving lives here.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
I see hope in a couple of different places. And one of them really is in our strong partnerships with our K-12 colleagues and other industry partners as well. It's ironic maybe in some way that it feels like those partnerships were strengthened somehow during the pandemic at a time when we had to socially isolate and socially distance. I think the challenges that we faced brought us together in some ways and strengthened our partnerships.
I would agree.
And so I see real hope with that because we can't do it alone. And I just see great hope in my students as well. These young people who come to our building and want to be teachers, and they do such amazing work. 2 years ago, I think we graduated about 83, 84 students. We sent them out to be teachers. A year later, 14 of them were named new teachers of the year in their building. It's in multiple different school divisions in the area. 14 out of 83.
That's
huge. So they do remarkable work, and we're very fortunate to work with such great students.
Yeah. Well, on the flip side, you do the remarkable work as well to prepare them to become those teachers of the year.
I'm happy to take some credit for my faculty and my staff because they do amazing work, and I see hope in the work that they do too.
Sounds like magic is happening
and
over there.
We benefit from that.
Yeah.
Yes, every day.
That's incredible. Well, lastly, what message would you all like to share with the chamber members and our listeners of our podcast here today and community leaders about the lasting value of supporting our teachers?
Community and the power of partnerships, and that it's a formula for success for all of us in terms of, I always say, nothing beats a team. And I just thank you both in terms of taking the leap to try this and sponsoring what will be an annual, I hope, event to celebrate the great work that teachers do. Our motto is educate and inspire every child every day. And who does that other than teachers?
Right.
Yes. So thank you all.
There you go.
I would just encourage them to understand that the purpose of schools is more than just workforce development. And no doubt, it's important that we graduate students who have the knowledge and the skills and the competencies to be successful in the workforce. That's very important. But we also want them to be active and engaged citizens in our community. And schools have a role to play in that. Schools have an important role to play in that. And so your support of schools is important. It's vital. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Well, we've talked about it's vital, and the community has to be involved for all of us to be successful. I want to thank you both, Dr. Catlett and Dr. Kelly, for sharing your insights, wisdom, and passion for education with us today. It's been a very fun and celebratory conversation, and I learned a lot about UMW as well as the Fredericksburg City Schools. So that's awesome. Your voices reminded us just how vital teachers are, not only in the classrooms but in shaping the very heart of our communities and our region.
Yes.
So to our listeners, we hope this episode inspires you to celebrate and support the educators who go above and beyond every single day. While nominations are now closed, seats are still available for our first ever Teacher Appreciation Brunch happening Wednesday, June 18th at the Fredericksburg Convention Center. It's going to be a morning full of gratitude, celebration, and meaningful connections. You won't want to miss it. As always, thank you for tuning into Chamber Talks. Until next time, keep showing up, stay inspired, and support those making a difference. Thank you.